have another wonderful person that I would like to introduce you to this afternoon, and that is one of our most esteemed MVPs, and that is Jose.
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's an honor to have you here this afternoon. You've had an incredibly busy week. How have things been for you this Data and AI Summit?
I think it's been a wonderful time. I've enjoyed interacting with a lot of different folks. I personally get to interact with a lot of different folks from the product team. So lots of great conversations, lots of excitement, and not just fluffy excitement, but there was a lot of like, hey, we can go back to our business after this Databricks Data and AI Summit and actually start implementing some of the things like Genie, dashboards, and even Lakeflow. So I've personally have enjoyed it myself. I've enjoyed the content myself, and that's a hard thing for me to really do. So
Yeah, so you are known for having kind of like a very specific take on things. So go on, give us your honest opinions on the keynotes. What did you like? Where did you want to see a bit more, maybe?
I think there was overall a very solid balance between the catchy and trendy, the AI, the agentic, as well as the data engineering fundamentals, which everyone likes to talk about how important data engineering fundamentals is. And really, I think the keynotes and a lot of the sessions covered a lot of solutions that tackle real business problems. So for me, again, that was very near and dear to my heart. So overall, a good balance of making things better and a good balance of also bringing in new things to the platform. So
Yeah, that's a really interesting point about, everyone talks about the success of AI, the bedrock of your data and the quality of your data. And yet there's rarely any tools to kind of like discuss that, or like when I hear those conversations, it doesn't then transition into, and here's how you can make your data better. It's like, okay, we'll just figure that out before you start. Like it's just something so trivial to do.
Vendors generally speaking love to talk about products they're building, right? That's great. It's nice. It's trendy, but sometimes they fail at seeing how that technology connects to the real business problems and the desired business outcomes that people want. So I'm a tech person, but more than that, I'm a business person. So for me, if the technology is not connected to addressing a real business need, and then I don't care about it. I don't spend any time looking into it because, hey, it's just theory. I like practical, I like real, I like let's go out and fix some problems with this.
So when you say you're a tech person, should be known you're an MVP. So I want to hear about yourself. I want to hear from both of you about the MVP program.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I am the VP of Data and AI Architecture at a consulting company called SEB. I'm also part of the Databricks MVP program. I'm part of the Databricks Product Advisory Board and also an advisor to Sigma, which is just one part BI Partner of the Year award with Databricks. So a little bit about myself again. I'm originally from Honduras, so it's for me to be part of this conference has been a very unique blessing to me, and really I'm just taking it all in. But at the end of the day, if you're one thing you want to take away from me is I like to talk tech, I like to talk about performance, I like to talk about all these things, but ultimately technology needs to solve business problems. And I know I've already said that like 3 times, but that's just how important it is for me. It's less about AI, less about agentic, less about even Lakeflow or Genie, which are great technologies. But hey, okay, that's great. How do we solve things with those technologies?
And I think it's fair to say that you've been fairly candid with your feedback about things like Delta Live tables.
Yeah.
I know you've given a lot of feedback to our product teams. That has been something that has evolved over time. So do you want to talk about kind of maybe where it was, where it is now, the changes that you've wanted to see for a while?
Yeah, and I'll try to filter my mouth ever so slightly. For the last 3 years, basically since Delta Live tables launch, I've been actually a fairly outspoken critic about them. There were a lot of different flaws. The development experience wasn't that great, wasn't interconnected to the Unity catalog, and all these great things that Databricks was releasing. Quality checks were hit or miss. And over the last 8 months, I've been working, providing a lot of feedback to the team behind Delta Live tables. They've been working with a lot of other customers, not just my voice, but a lot of other customers as to what they should fix. And I made a lot of my concerns public many times, so you can look back and don't just take me just saying something new. It's real issues that now the team, Bilal, and a lot of the product team behind Lakeflow have turned the best of Delta Live tables, brought it into a better development experience. So now you have Lakeflow, which incorporates Lakeflow Connect and Spark declarative pipelines. Name change just today, so totally trippy. But then I think Lakeflow jobs. So till Databricks decides to name them something different. So, a long story short, they're bundling out of the box a great pipeline development experience. Plus, they announced Lakeflow Designer today, which I saw some of the early mock-ups of it. So it was great seeing it from where those early mock-ups were to where it is at today. And one of the things that I love to talk about is Databricks is a fantastic data engineering and ML platform. How do we turn it from being great for just hardcore techies to those analysts, those business users? And I think Databricks One is one of the things that was announced today. Great, makes it a lot more practical for real business users. And with Lakeflow Designer, I think you're opening up the possibilities for not just the hardcore technical folks to thrive in, but really just anyone.
And so business users, that means a lot of things to different people with different definitions. Who do you imagine is the kind of person who would, as a business user, would start using something like Databricks One or something like the Lakeflow Designer?
I mean, so I would say two different kinds of people. So in terms of that's a great question, by the way. I think, so normally you think about data engineering as being to the left, and you think of the analyst as being to the right. The closer to the right that you are, that's what I would consider the business users. Again, within the context of non-tech, right? But it's the further to the right that you can get, the better it is for those business users. So I think that, with Designer, it makes building things easier. With the Databricks One, it makes even further right. It makes those users, the ones that are just consumers, it makes it a lot easier for them to actually take advantage of what everyone is building, because they don't have to be developers. They don't even have to know SQL. They can access, from my understanding, they can access Databricks One and really go there as their hub for actually make use of all of the business tools that they have without really getting into Databricks, which I think a lot of people didn't want to have to get into Databricks, especially those that are not coders. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so people love your practitioner. You mentioned you're very hands-on, so appreciate that. I want to hear about the product advisory, number one, and then you've also been running benchmarks and just rolling up the sleeves. So some of the results, some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, I've been very fortunate that my job at SEB allows me to really spend a lot of time researching technology. Part of my job's description involves the fact that I won't always say the things that are favorable to Databricks. My job is to be as transparent, because if I'm not saying those things, your customers are going to be saying it with their wallets. Sorry, I lost track of what the other part of the question was.
Yeah, product advisory, benchmarks, anything like that.
So with that is, I give a lot of feedback, and the team at Databricks listens to that feedback. Sometimes it's in private, depending on the issue. Sometimes it's in private. Sometimes it is based on the public comments that I make. They'll reach out to me and ask me some questions. And they might share, hey, we're fixing this sometime, or we haven't thought about it, or this is why we can't fix something. So we meet once a year. Whenever here and throughout the year, we have different sessions. So one key thing that you should probably know about me is that I did not start off as working for a consulting company. I've been working with Databricks as a customer for the last 3-ish years of my life. And I just started working for a consulting firm 2 months ago. So I've been, so whenever I'm saying all these things, I really feel it for the customers that perhaps I'm not dealing with some of these issues on a day-to-day. I know other people are, and that's why I'm very passionate about talking about them. You also asked about my performance benchmarks, or I like to call them performance comparisons, right? Because I think that I like to keep things practical. So for those of you that don't know me, I like to write a lot about different things. Sometimes I compare Databricks against different platforms. Sometimes I compare different versions of different products from other platforms against themselves. My personal philosophy is that whatever testing I do, I keep it real. If the tests don't look good for Databricks and something, I keep the queries that I ran. If the tests look great for Databricks, that's very good for Databricks, right? But every time that you run a comparison, there's always going to be a mistake that you make. Sometimes the data set you built from scratch wasn't as good as you considered. So my personal commitment is that whenever I'm publishing these comparisons is keep it public, keep it reproducible for people, so that you don't just take my word for it. You can run the test yourself. And for me, that's very important, being transparent, because again, at the end of the day, if something doesn't look good for Databricks, guess what? That's going to push Databricks to be better. Exactly. If something doesn't look, it's great from another platform, or something is good for Databricks, then that's awesome. And then I know Databricks is going to push even harder to keep that edge, because it's like, hey, we have an edge here. Why should we give it up? So,
yeah, it's a community that makes us all better. Feedback from the customers, from partners, from MVPs, all keeps iterating and making it all better, part of the whole community.
Yeah. And the latest one that I ran, it was very good. Honestly, some of the results for Databricks turned out a little bit more favorably than I expected. I've always considered Databricks to be better in the larger scales of data sets, and other vendors to potentially be better in the lower size data, lower like in the millions instead of like the billions. The results that I ran turned out very, very good for Databricks, much better than I expected. So yeah.
So anytime anyone runs a benchmark, there's always like, oh, but you didn't realize the blah, blah, blah networking was wrong and you did the blah, blah, blah. Are there any one particular things that someone pointed out to you that they thought that you overlooked that you're like, wow, okay, that is super niche. Do I need to control for that?
Well, I think there's always one thing, right? Sometimes there's valid, sometimes there's not valid. Like I had ran one like maybe a month-ish ago or so, that there is some feedback that I got. There was one piece of feedback that, while it didn't necessarily impact the nature of the results and really the outcomes, it was around the data not looking as natural as it could be. It was too evenly distributed. Okay. Almost perfectly evenly distributed in different layers, like the same quantity for a product almost consistently across every single month. And there's a real flaw. I was still comparing apples to apples, which is important, because if I'm okay if my flaws are still comparing apples to apples.
Yes.
That I'm okay if there's flaws. But then for me, that I iterate from that. I'm like, okay, I knew that was a problem. I didn't spend, before coming to Databricks Summit, I spent about 2 weeks working on a newer version of my test that has a lot more controls as to, hey, this is how you distribute the data, more adjustable, because for me, transparency is very important.
Yeah.
So, and there's always going to be mistakes, but at the end of the day, if I can compare apples to apples every single time, I'm happy with the testing.
Well, I think that also brings up an interesting topic about the limitations of benchmarks. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a great place to get started, to be like, all right, who's really on the cutting edge at the moment? But ultimately, unless it's solving like that particular data problem that you have back at the office,
correct,
like the benchmarks are theoretical, right? So if someone was to do something themselves and they're like, hey, I really like what Jose has done, I want to do something similar, what would you recommend for someone who has been running their own benchmarks? How would you recommend someone do that with their own data back at the office?
Well, I would say this: take the comparisons that I do, or the comparisons that anyone does, always with a loving grain of salt. Okay, it's one more data point. Your results might differ on that same data set. If you test almost immediately, the next day it's probably going to be the same result. But with your own data, though, test things yourself. Don't just take my word for it. How do you go about it? Honestly, that's a very tough question, because I know at the end of the day, always reach out to the vendors you're considering, talk to them, do proof of concepts, but don't just take what they're doing for you. Dig through what they're doing. Are they comparing things fairly? And honestly, that sometimes is a hard thing. And at the end of the day, do your research. For me, so I started using Databricks about 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago or so. And one of the things that helped me succeed is that I spent about 16 hours learning Databricks. And I was not a I was barely a cloud architect at that point. I had never really done data engineering besides Excel, because that
you love Excel. You
I love Excel.
You make Excel puns everywhere.
Yeah,
Have
exactly.
to throw that out. If you follow, by the way, on LinkedIn especially, if you want more Excel jokes, have a follow.
I mean, look at the logo. I mean, it's an Excel spreadsheet. But long story short, what helped set me up for success, for understanding whether Databricks or platform B and C were the right ones for me, was I spent a lot of time learning about Databricks. I spent 16 hours, 16 hours worth of course content. And that helped me up to understand, hey, how do you best manage costs? How do you best build pipelines? All this. Do the research, it pays off. And then ultimately pick the platform that you believe has all the capabilities that you need, not just because someone is selling them to you, but because you actually can verify that. So that's my honest recommendation. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us here today, Jose. I'm sure we could have talked so much more about all the different things that customers can do. But yeah, that's all we have time for. So thank you so much for joining us. And
by the way, if you're on LinkedIn, if you want to follow me there on through, I think it's going to be displaying on the screen. Love to connect with you. So
absolutely. Okay then.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No, that was great. Thanks for having us. And by the way, to paint the picture, like we are closing out the whole conference. Last year and this year, they're like breaking down the expo hall. So appreciate everyone sticking by.
Yeah. Okay then. And so now to a video that we did earlier with Jimmy.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Jimmy Oyenigi. I am the Global Head of Sales Development here at Confluent. I joined Confluent about 3 months ago, whereby I'm helping drive the way our SDRs help our business, grow in different territories across APAC, EMEA, and also our EMEA territory. I came from Databricks, whereby I was a global account executive, and the journey here is extremely exciting because I get to work with the two best companies on the planet. Confluent, which helps us in terms of data in motion, and Databricks, which helps us with the analytics aspect of how our customers can start to run their AI model. So it's an exciting time to actually have AI in real time, leveraging Confluent as a platform.
Okay, and we're here at Summit Live at pretty much almost the close of the conference. And like Ari said earlier, you can see around us how people are literally starting to strip things and take them down now. So that's almost it for this year. But as we think about next year, we went round earlier today and we asked a bunch of people why they'd want to come back next year.
100% come. If you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, come, you're going to learn a ton. There's great people, and there's so many great companies and so many activities. It's definitely an experience that you'll remember and you'd want to come back to.
Definitely come to the event. You're going to get to meet a lot of networking, other people doing the same thing as you.
And connecting with other Databricks users that have the same issues as me, and discussing solutions to those problems.
So many wonderful seminars. There's a lot of great swag and expo booths. You might not know what you're looking for, but you're probably going to find it.
Oh, you should definitely come. There's so many different industries here. Like, I'm in hospitality, which is definitely not very common here, and I've learned so much from all the different industries. There's really something for everyone.
Okay, and welcome back for the final time at Summit Live. We've had an absolutely fantastic week here. Ari, it's been amazing. You are the mastermind behind this, so I want to say thank you to you.
Thank you, thank you.
What have been your highlights this week?
Well, being with amazing co-hosts, we have Carly, we have you, Jason, Allison, who is in the breakout session. So all of that is just a big honor, but then also to meet with customers first and foremost. Thank you. Virtual summits, hearing about all of the watch parties. So it's just really the whole community, partners, influencers, Bricksters, product managers, founders, influencers, all of that. So
it's been an absolutely jam-packed year. And with that in mind, we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to see you all next year.
Have a great year. Bye.
Bye.
See you next year.
See you next year.